Hey guys, Katrina here, this is Willie. Welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I'm late, but as they say, better late than never. Unfortunately, I had a dentist appointment on Monday and it's taken me a few days to recover because my health condition caused a lot of complications and it knocked me for 6. So I wanted to wait until the swelling gone down a bit and I could speak. If you remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, I made a review of Sia's film Music. Well, after getting a right few downvotes on that video, I've decided to give in and watch the film, which I did last night. And I can't believe that I'm going to say this, but it was actually worse than what I thought it would be. The acting was horrible. I mean, you could tell that Maddie Ziegler, or the girl that plays the part of Music, was acting. It was totally obvious that she was putting it on. Plus, they used some rather controversial restraint techniques in the film as well, which have in the past actually killed people. Sia had said that she was going to put a warning in the title of the film about the use of the restraints that were featured in the film, but she didn't bother. Now, if you remember in my last video, I got a commenter who was quite nasty. I mentioned it to other people on the subreddit r/autism and they rightfully gave him a good talking to, and he's seen sense and removed the comment himself, which is good. I was in no way saying that autistic actors should be restricted to playing autistic roles. They should have all the same opportunities that everybody else who does not have autism would have. That's what I would expect for myself, given that I'm on the autistic spectrum myself. As I said in the last video, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in the early 90s when I was a small child, so I do understand the stigma around it. I did not mean to cause offence to anybody, although I don't think that I actually did cause offence to anyone. Thank you to the people over on the r/autism subreddit for sticking up for me. Much appreciated. Now back to the film. There was 2 scenes in particular where they used the restraint method that is rather concerning. The first is actually after the scene that I showed you in the last video. If I still have the clip, I will put it at the bottom of the screen. It was where the neighbour was helping out, and after that he lifted Music and slung her over his shoulder and threw her on top of the bed and then pinned her to the bed using the technique in question. Now, many people who have been restrained in that particular way have said that it is frightening, and it does look pretty frightening even when it's being faked. There was another more concerning scene in the park where Music's sister Zoo, or Kazu as her full name is, took Music with the neighbour to the park, and she was overstimulated by a bunch of kids who were running around and playing. She started having a meltdown in the middle of the park, so the neighbour instructs Zoo to pin her sister Music to the floor using the technique that I mentioned earlier, but this time she pushes her face first into the ground and lays on top of her, which is seriously dangerous because the girl couldn't breathe. And don't forget that she's non-verbal, so she can't say that she isn't able to breathe. But it looked really horrible. And what's even worse is that this film was nominated for 2 Golden Globes. Now, thankfully, I was beat to the post by Borat, which is nice that they were beaten to the post, but they should not be nominated at all. And also, I didn't realise when I was making the last video that Music had worked with a rather controversial group called Autism Speaks. They claim to be a charity, but they have a rather controversial past of looking for cures for autism, including the bleach cure, which I've explained before, total woo-woo crap and doesn't work and is actually very dangerous. It was a very, very hard film to watch. For some reason, I've only been able to find it on YouTube, but I take it that other carriers have listened to the concerns of the autistic community and chosen not to allow it on their platform, but YouTube should have followed the suit. It was a hard watch. The story behind the film is music, and Sue's grandmother is looking after music, and then she passes away sadly from a heart attack. Music's only other family member is Sue, who is a recovering addict who doesn't seem to be recovering rather well, because later on in the film she actually takes music with her to go and sell drugs, and she happens to be selling drugs to Sia, who had a cameo role in the film. But it was really, really awful film to watch. I mean, as I mentioned in the other video, I have watched Rain Man. This is way worse than Rain Man. I never thought that I would actually find a film that is worse than Rain Man, but this one is. I couldn't wait for it to be over. Thank God it is. So this was just a quick short video today in response to the amount of downvotes that I got on the other one. Anyway, as you know, I'm taking part in the EDS UK Great British Bake Oven. Next week is pastry week. On Sunday's video I made a gluten-free loaf for the first time, so I'll put a link into it if you haven't seen it already. Please go and watch it now. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe if you're new. And remember to hit the notification bell, as YouTube does not notify you when I upload a video unless you hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.